Hello and welcome to Unleash with Megan, the podcast where we dive deep into the art and science of overcoming challenges and achieving extraordinary results. I'm your host, Megan Rovnak, and today I'm so excited to be joined by LS Kirkpatrick, an inspirational author and coach. She believes your voice deserves to be heard. Whether you're speaking, writing, podcasting, however you're doing it, she believes your voice deserves to be heard. She is fantastic at tackling those tricky challenges, especially when it comes to the ever-changing world of publishing. And it is ever-changing for those of you that are in the publishing world. She always brings fresh, innovative ideas to the table. LS, thank you so much for joining us today. Please share a little bit about your background and your story.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, your audience, for being here today. I'm really happy that I can give them something to add to their toolbox of what they have to do and as they're going through life and in their business. So for most of my life, adult life, I was a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home grandma. Did a few things, had a few businesses. A lot of them were entrepreneurial, though I didn't even realize it at the time. A lot of challenges, went through a toxic relationship. The kids grow up, you've got teenagers, you've got the time after teenagehood, which sometimes can be more difficult because now they're adults. You don't have a say so much in anything, but you got to let them make their own choices. That's what you've raised them to do. And then getting into a business on my own was so foreign to me. Never was raised around people who did that. I had an aunt and uncle who had their own store, but I didn't live around them, so I didn't know what that was like. And my family was not in the farming or had their own business. They worked for somebody else. And so there are a lot of things when you start a business that you have no idea is even there. It's been the most wonderful experience, but it's been crazy. It's challenging every day. And no matter what we do in life, every day is a challenge. There's choices you make. And the one thing I've discovered more important than anything else is make a choice and then embrace it. Don't keep second guessing yourself. Maybe I should have made this choice. Maybe I should have done that. Don't do that, because that really takes away the energy and the power from what you're doing right now. Now, if you've made a choice and you realize, wow, this was a really not the best choice I could have made, so you just stop, you adjust, and make a better choice and go from there. But learn from what you did, because all of those lessons that you learn, all of those mistakes you made actually help build your character for what you're going to do next. And it's so important to just give yourself grace and enjoy it. I didn't start out being a writer. I wanted to write when I was a kid, but it just wasn't one of the things we did. We moved a lot. I was in 15 different schools by the time I graduated high school, so I missed a lot of things. I didn't know what it was like to stay in one place and grow up with everybody around me. But my parents did, and so I learned from them. Now, that's one thing that you also can do, whether you're leading, whether you're just being you, is you learn from what other people do. You listen to their stories, and stories are amazing. They're just moments shared, so you can take from it what you can and use it in your life and then go on. Um, there's just there's so much, so many stories, so many things that happened in my life. I remember when I first started out about 3 years ago, and the mastermind I was in, Les Brown, was there, and he was telling me everybody has a story, and I'm thinking, I don't have a story. I've never had this big, huge traumatic event. I didn't have these big, huge health problems, these addictions or other things that people went through. But I realized as I kept thinking about that through the next months is that I may not have one story, but I have many stories that got me to the next level, many stories that took me in a different direction. And, and it's all of that that you draw on. Now, when I was doing one of my giving books, now my giving books, I'm in volume 5, and it's where people send in their stories. They talk about maybe a memoir, a joke, a recipe, things like just anything that is family friendly, family friendly, and then it goes in the book, and then everything about that book is giving. I give it free. Well, I can't do it free anymore because now I'm having to hire an editor because there gets to be so many entries. But it's still minimal fee, $50, so it's not that much. So I'm giving you a place to have your voice be heard. Then not only that, it gets to go on Amazon. If all of the authors agree, then we'll try for number one. Just another way to give. And then the book itself, all the proceeds from Amazon and from my own personal sales goes to the nonprofit that we choose for that book. And I love this. This is my once a year give back to the world. And it's just
LS, that's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
And
that's amazing. You've
you
already,
know
so
what?
it's so funny to me because you're like, I don't have, you once believed, oh, I don't have a story, I have nothing
Yeah.
to give. And then you're just like, and what I love about this is what you're doing is exactly the reason I'm doing this podcast, is to be a platform for people's stories to be heard. Because you're right, not all of us, in fact, probably most of us don't have a big story.
Yeah.
We have so many stories that have allowed us to become who we are. So many stories that have given us the opportunity to learn. The things that I've already heard you say: fail forward, right?
Yes. Yes.
Commit, commit and go.
Yeah.
Fail forward if you fail, so what? And give yourself grace. I can't tell you how often I tell that to people. I'm like, treat yourself at least as well as you would treat somebody that you love, because you
I'm going
should
to
love
have to
yourself.
disagree with you there. I think you need to treat yourself better because I don't think we treat ourselves ever as much as we would treat somebody else, and that's something that we need to do. I've been learning that. We talk about a story. Boy, have I got a story now, but just one of many. We got hit by our bull. My husband and I did. We were trying to take the fencing wire. It got wrapped around his leg, and we just pushed it too hard. It was our fault. We know that. But the bull took us both down. It's been I think he'll be 3 weeks on, or 3 months on, or 2 months on Wednesday. So there's been a lot of challenges with that. It's been really tough because I really have to give myself grace, way more grace than I realized. I thought, okay, I give myself grace. So, we're doing this. No, no, no. We've got to give ourselves way more grace. What is the one thing in the Bible that says, love others as you love yourself? And when you really stop to think about that, how much do you love yourself? And if you love others at least that much, you know, that's good. If more, that's
Yeah.
better. But what's the first thing you do? You have to love yourself. You have to give yourself grace. So with me not being able to do as much as I've done before, have to stop and think about my sentences and my words, and it's tough. Today I took a 2 hour nap because I just couldn't function anymore. And it's like, I don't want a 2 hour nap in the middle of the day, but I do want to heal. I want to let those neurons reconnect to the other side of the brain or whatever they need to do. So I have to give myself grace. I have to love me the way I am, flaws and all, and keep going. It's tough when we're so hard on ourselves that we're beating ourselves up. I remember speaking with a couple of friends of mine, and somebody brought up the the I don't remember where they got it from, but they said, "Would you ever talk to your friend the way you talk to yourself?" And I thought, wow, there is no way I would ever talk to anybody the way I talk to myself. So, am I loving myself saying things like that to me? No. Am I being gracious? No. So that has to stop. And and the biggest thing was I had to recognize first that I was saying those things. and then to stop doing that. And so when those thoughts come in, that verse in the Bible, capture the thoughts. And it's like, well, how do you do that? For years, I didn't know what that meant. And it's like, when that thought occurs, you stop it, but you acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge the thought, it's going to come back and it's going to bring friends. And you don't want that kind of party.
Oh,
So
I
you
love that.
grab
I
it.
love that saying. It's going to come back and it's going to bring friends. That's even
Yeah.
more reason to do it. I've had so many conversations with the people in my life just like that. And when I said earlier,
Yeah.
you need to love yourself at least as much as you love others,
Yes.
it's for the very reason you just said, because people that I know mostly are much nicer to the people around themselves than they are to themselves.
Yes.
And that advice, when I'm hearing people, right, they're venting and they're letting all of this stuff out, and that's good, right? There's value in getting it out so it
Right.
doesn't like stay in there and pressure cook. But I also worry, I'm like, if that's what you're saying to yourself in your mind, especially that it has to like pressure cook its way out,
Yeah.
you really need to think about, if you wouldn't say that to somebody you loved, you should not be saying that to yourself. I mean, you probably just shouldn't be
Absolutely.
saying that either way, but
Yeah.
saying it to yourself in the quiet of your mind where there isn't anyone to disagree with you because you aren't saying it out loud and they're not there. You are the only one that can make that change and create those new pathways. And that
Oh,
was just
yes.
like you over the years. That's something that I had to learn, because we're always our own worst critic.
Yep. Yep. And I
And
think a
you've got
lot
to
of it
train
too,
yourself out of it.
yeah, a lot of it too may come from our childhood. For me, I always felt that I was unworthy. Now, whether that was true or not, it doesn't matter, because that's what my brain heard. That's what it was saying in there. And so I've been hearing a lot about mindset. Never heard that word before, didn't know what it was, and understanding that you can, sorry, there's a little bug here. You can change your mind and tell your brain what you believe is the truth. And then it will start saying, oh, that is true, because you just said it the other day and now you're saying it again. There's got to be something there. Pretty soon your brain starts saying these good things to you. Sounds really strange, but go listen to Bob Proctor, listen to Jim Rohn, listen to some of the others, and it does make a difference. And
It
that's part
does.
of capturing those thoughts, those negative things that are coming in. Nope, we're not going there. Find a way to turn it into a positive. It's like, so what if I made a mistake? Everybody makes mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. And if it's the same mistake I made before, well, I recognize it now. So I can do better next time. And maybe I make the mistake again, but that's okay, because I'm recognizing it and I'm trying to find a way to change it. And you will. It just takes everybody. It takes different timing, different words, different methods to do it, because we're so individual, which is absolutely wonderful. What an amazing world we live in, where everybody is so different. If we were all the same, it would be like a field full of all the same flowers every year, all year long. You wouldn't have all the different flowers that we have. Or the trees. I mean, think about it. Look at our cars.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so many different things that we have in variety.
Yeah.
Obviously, we like variety, so variety in people
Oh,
is a
yeah.
good thing as well. I
And it's
completely agree
okay.
with you. That's right. It's not
Yeah.
only, yeah, it's okay. It's even good. I completely agree with you about retraining your brain. I liken
Yeah.
it when I talk to people about this. I'm like, okay, so you have to imagine that you've created a path. However, that path got started, whether somebody else said it to you or you first said it to yourself, you've created a path. And the only way that you're going to create a new path is to go in a new direction and keep walking it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and
Yeah.
forth until that becomes the path. And then the other path will start to get overgrown. You won't go that way,
No.
but it's not something that just happens immediately. It's something that you have to choose to do and do consistently. I often encourage people, if they have a recurring thought, I'm like, come up with your counter thought, like
Yes.
practice your
Yes.
counter thought. So as soon as that thought pops up, your immediate response, you've practiced it so much that your immediate response stops that thought and is like, nope,
Yeah.
that is not true. I am not stupid. I am not slow. I'm not, like, whatever
That's
your
right.
thought is, You're like, nope, I am smart. I've accomplished many things and I will keep going. It's okay to make mistakes. Like whatever that quick thing needs to be. But yeah, and I've done it. I've had
Yeah,
to do
me
that where
too.
I realized, I've
Yeah,
realized that I have this recurring terrible, like I don't need it in my brain. It shouldn't be taking up space in there. And I
yeah,
basically muscle it out with a better thought.
yes, yeah, you do, and it's amazing. Um, I've experienced PTSD with family, but on the outside, not not seeing it from the inside. And because of the incident that just happened, we discovered last week, now I get to experience from the inside out and understand that those triggers are like, where'd that come from? There was no reason for it to be there, but it's there. And so it's again taking your mind and saying, okay, that happened. Why did it happen? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so you don't have any idea. What can you do next time when it's there? What can you do to slow it down? Now, I know everybody is different. I know that PTSD is different, the situations are different. But for me, I'm able to see some things and say, well, that was weird and that's not typical. So, what really happened there? So, there's just, a lot to go through. Um, yeah, it's like a whole new world.
Well, and
But,
imagine all of the things that you learned and experienced over these last 3 or 4 years about mindset, about how
oh,
you think,
yeah,
and your ability. It's like that was preparing you for being
absolutely.
able to manage an experience like this one. Because if this had happened before you knew what mindset was, before
Oh,
you
yeah.
understood
I'd
how
be
the
so
mind
lost.
worked. Yeah. So to
Yeah,
your point earlier, we all
absolutely.
sorts of things happen in our lives and we can learn from
Yeah,
all of them and take it forward.
yeah. My friend Eric Hollenbeck, um, he is known as the craftsman. Amazing, amazing craftsman with wood, with old tools. He's in Eureka, California. And he said something that I thought, how can that be true? Because he had some really tough things happen to him in his life and growing up. And he said, I wouldn't change a thing because all of those experiences have gotten me to where I am now and to who I am now. And I thought, gosh, there's a lot of really crappy things that happened to me that I wouldn't want there. But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized how true it was what he was saying. All of those things made me stronger because of things that I went through. Later in my life, I was able to help somebody else through a similar situation. And you never know. It's like, yeah, it was crappy that it happened, but you know what? Makes something good come out of it. You know, a lot of people talk about the Phoenix Rising, the book we just launched. You and I were talking about that before the show, Impact Through Leadership, the ripple effect of leading well. And in there, two of the speakers talked about the phoenix and how it's rising out of the ashes. And the phoenix is in a lot of different cultures. And it's a good thing because you want good to come out of something that was a tough situation. I have a little sticker here, a little sticky note. I have two quotes on here. One's from John Maxwell. It says, successful is something that you are right now. And you are, no matter what you think about yourself. How can I be successful? Well, you are because you're here right now. You never quit. You didn't give up. You're still here. The other one is from Steve Harvey, and he's got that. There's a short going around on YouTube, and I'm sorry I don't know what it's called, but he says you already have 100% success rate, and it's 100% because you're here today. Because way back when, maybe you even just got out of it. You said, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how anything good can come of this. I don't know if there's going to be an end. I want to quit, but you didn't because you're here right now. That makes you a 100% success rate. And that's really encouraging whatever you go through. The one thing I do want to say, and I want to make sure I say this before our time gets too short, is congratulate yourself on everything that you're doing right. 3 years ago, I had written some stories for my grandkids, and people said, "Oh, you should make a book out of it." Well, I put 3 books on Amazon, nothing happened. And then I stepped into this world called entrepreneurship. Had no idea what it was. Just amazing. And from that time, from those 3 books to the first 10 months, I had 11 books, 8 of which went to #1 bestseller. Now, it's only 3 years later, I've got 45 books. I just counted them up. I'm looking on my shelf and I'm like, oh, how did that happen? you know? And it's like, it's because you keep putting one foot in front of the other. You keep doing what you love. You keep going. You don't stop. And if you're going to write a book, write about something really great, because whatever you're writing about, it's going to happen to your life. So make it good.
Right.
But
Well, what you just said reminds me of the quote, you can't fail unless you give up.
yeah,
Right?
that's so
That's
true.
impossible. It's literally impossible, because
Yeah,
failing is you've given up. You're not continuing to try. As long as
yeah,
you're trying, you have not failed.
yeah. And there's times you want to give up, and it's like, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, why isn't anything working? I'm just going to stop. I'm going to look at everything. Did I take a detour somewhere that really took me off of where I planned on going? I know when I was 6 months into the entrepreneurial world, and it's like, I'm going to hit it hard. I'm working, 18 hours a day. I mean, I was really putting in the hours 6, 7 days a week and trying to, get that big success, whatever. I didn't even really understand what success meant then. And I one day I just took everything off the walls, all the vision boards, the post-it notes, everything off the walls. I didn't throw them away. I put them in a little folder, and I just sit there, and then I started bawling. I mean, I was devastated. And we had this little cabin that was outside, and it's summertime, and my husband walks in and he goes, "What is wrong?" And I said, "I am such a failure." And he goes, "Why would you say that?" I says, "Because I've been doing this 6 months and nothing has happened." Things had happened. Because I wasn't where I wanted to be, I said, "Nothing's happened." And he says, "You just got started. You can't expect it to happen that fast." But it's like I want it to, you know? And and what I had been doing is, when I had compared my journey with other people's journey. And then I found out, wait a minute, those other people have been doing it for 2 or 3 years, not 6 months. And so comparison is really tough. And you think, well, were they unrealistic? It's like, no, it was realistic for me, but maybe I need to see where I really want to go, because, like I said, I really didn't know what success meant to me. There were things I still needed to put into place. And so what I did is, I didn't stop, but I did give myself a break. I spent that week deciding, why did I get into this business in the first place? What was it that I was after? And what have I done so far? And then I started counting up, wow, I achieved this. Wow, I achieved that. I've got, let's see if I can turn my camera a little bit. This award here, I
Mm-hmm.
achieved it within the first 3 months. And I never celebrated it. So you have to celebrate even the little ones. It's like, wow, I finished this course. Celebrate it. That is a really big deal. Everything you do every day is one step closer to where you want to be, or what you want to do, even if you don't know what that is right now. But every step, every day is one day closer, one step closer. So you have to celebrate it. And by celebrating it, you give your brain the freedom to say, yes, we can do this. All right, we're going to get there. Otherwise, you just keep piling on all this stuff, and you're not making headway because you're not celebrating. You're not giving yourself the grace you need, the love you need. And I guess that's part of self care. You really have to take care of yourself, because you're the one making the decisions. You're the one taking the steps, and you're the one that's putting all the weight on your shoulders. So take some of that weight off.
Yeah. So we're running low on time here, but here were some of my key takeaways. Commit to what you're going to do, fail forward, give
Yeah.
yourself grace, and you can't fail unless you quit, and
So
celebrate the
don't quit.
wins. That's right.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Don't quit and celebrate the wins. You're so right, because you get so focused on where you're going, you lose track
Yeah.
of the wins along the way and the things that you've achieved in the journey. So that's fantastic. Are there anything I missed that you would want to make sure people took away from our conversation today?
Well, I'd like you to think about it like this. You're driving a car from point A to point B, and you can put blinders on and just see the point B. But if you take them off, you get to see all of this amazing things around you. And once in a while, stop, pull the car over, and just breathe. Enjoy what's around you. Take the time to really see what is around you and what you've got going. And yeah, again, don't quit. Take a pause if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. Had somebody tell me one time every pause is a stop, and it's like, no, it isn't. It's taking a pause, and that's all it is. It's like if you take a 10-minute nap during the day, does that mean you're sleeping? You don't need sleep at night? No. You're just taking a little restorative action to get you going for the rest of your journey.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining today and sharing your
Oh,
story.
thank you.
You've had quite a few months and quite a last few years. I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing what you've learned and the experiences that you've had. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us
Yes,
today.
thank
Really
you.
appreciate that. And as always, I hope you have a magnificent day.